Welcome to this explainer. To put things into perspective right out of the gate, if the global Bitcoin network were an actual country, it would literally consume more electricity than all of Argentina. Crazy, right? Today, we're taking raw data and cutting-edge academic research to uncover the absolutely wild interplay between computing power, energy consumption, and the actual financial reality of securing the blockchain. So if you've ever wondered how the math really shakes out behind those massive, humming warehouses of mining rigs, and whether the little guy even stands a chance anymore, well, you are in exactly the right place.
We've got a fantastic roadmap for today. We'll be hitting calculating profit per watt, the hardware arms race, energy as a moat, the centralization problem, and finally, smart mining for hobbyists. Let's just jump right in.
Section 1. Calculating profit per watt. Because you see, to understand the macro network, we really have to wrap our heads around the microeconomics of just a single mining rig first.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that Bitcoin mining is fundamentally just the conversion of electricity into heat. Think about a normal business, right? Like a shoe factory. If you want to make more shoes, you just hire more people or rent a bigger warehouse. But mining doesn't work like that at all. Mining is completely bottlenecked by the physical limits of the electricity actually flowing into the building. So for any operation constrained by electrical capacity, whether that's just a standard 200-amp residential panel or a massive fixed megawatt industrial setup, your absolute, number one, most important metric is profit per watt. It dictates exactly which hardware gets the best return from your incredibly strict power budget. Taking some live data anchored at a baseline electricity cost of 10 cents per kilowatt hour, we really start to see the reality of those razor-thin margins. Take a beast of a machine like the Antminer U3S23H. Pumping out a massive 1,160 terahashes per second, it generates just under $10 of pure net profit a day. $10! I mean, for a machine that costs thousands of dollars upfront, a $10 daily return means you are playing a very, very long game of optimization. It takes extreme patience, and your operation has to be tuned to absolute perfection just to eventually break even.
Now let's talk about the hidden cost, specifically a massive $26.45 daily drain. That is the daily power cost to run just one of those machines. And that cost? It accrues every single day. 365 days a year. It runs through Christmas, it runs through the massive market booms, and, brutally, it runs through the market crashes. That is nearly $800 a month in pure electricity just to keep one single unit powered on. It really hammers home exactly why operating expenses will make or break a miner. Raw computing power literally means nothing if your energy costs are eating you alive.
Section 2. The hardware arms race. Because, well, when your margins are that unbelievably tight, you absolutely have to find a technological edge just to survive.
To stay in the game, miners are constantly hunting for more efficiency. We've seen hardware evolve chronologically from basic personal computer CPUs back in the early days to GPUs, then to programmable FPGAs, and now we're in the era of ASICs. These modern application-specific integrated circuits are just silicon marvels. They're designed to do absolutely nothing else but compute the SHA-256 algorithm. Basically, they're just rolling a digital trillion-sided die over and over again, billions of times a second, trying to win that block reward. You can't play video games on them, you can't browse the web, they are hyper-specialized tools built for one single, relentless mathematical purpose. And the fallout of all those massive hardware leaps is a literal logarithmic explosion in total network computing power. Every new era of specialized hardware just floods the market. And since the Bitcoin network automatically adjusts its mathematical difficulty to make sure new blocks are found every 10 minutes, well, every single new generation of hardware instantly makes the older machines totally unprofitable. You either upgrade constantly or you get squeezed right out. Those older rigs don't just get a little slower. Overnight, they effectively turn into incredibly expensive e-waste because they suddenly cost way more in electricity to run than they could ever possibly generate in Bitcoin.
Section 3. Energy as a moat. Since older machines get forced into retirement so fast by these efficiency gains, securing cheap energy has really become the ultimate competitive advantage for the survivors. At this point, hardware efficiency is basically maxed out by the laws of physics. So now the whole game is about how cheaply you can power and cool these things. I mean, imagine running your kitchen oven on broil 24/7 right in the middle of your living room. That is the kind of intense, relentless heat we are talking about here. As operations scale up, heat dissipation becomes absolutely everything. Standard air cooling might be fine for a small residential setup, but hydro cooling, that's the new standard for the heavy hitters. By pumping liquid to constantly pull heat away from the chips, hydrocooling provides the durability, the consistent uptime, and the thermal management you absolutely need to make large industrial farms financially viable. It physically prevents the chips from melting themselves and seriously extends the life of the hardware.
And when you compare global electricity benchmarks, the geographic divide is just staggering. When a subsidized operation in the Middle East is paying maybe 2 to 4 cents per kilowatt hour, and an industrial plant in Texas is paying 4 to 6 cents, but the average hobbyist in the US is stuck paying 12 to 16 cents, the math becomes brutally clear. A residential miner is paying up to 4 times as much for the exact same raw input. It's an almost insurmountable mathematical hurdle. Energy pricing isn't just a line item on a balance sheet anymore. It is a massive structural moat that keeps potential competitors permanently locked out of the market.
Section 4. The centralization problem. This intense geographic and industrial consolidation brings us directly to a major academic concern regarding the network's long-term health.
The academic tracking we're exploring acts as striking proof that mining decentralization has, unfortunately, already peaked. What researchers at MIT have tracked is a frankly terrifying consolidation of computing power into the hands of just a few massive mining pools. That romantic early days ideal of millions of independent laptops perfectly distributed around the globe, all working together to secure the network? Yeah, that's dead. It has largely given way to a centralized, industrial-scale reality totally dominated by corporate giants.
Researchers are quick to point out that this endless, vicious cycle of buying expensive, highly specialized hardware forces these large operations into a really dangerous corner. Think about it. Imagine you've just dropped $50 million on brand new ASICs. Because of those massive sunken costs and heavy debt obligations, when the market takes a dive, these industrial miners are often forced to just keep their machines running and literally mine at a loss just to service their loans. They hold on to the mined Bitcoin, praying that prices will eventually bounce back. But if only 3 or 4 massive corporations actually have the capital to survive a multi-year bear market, well, the entire core concept of a decentralized, uncensorable financial network is put at serious risk.
Section 5. Smart mining for hobbyists. So, with all that stacked against them, how in the world does the little guy fight back against these industrial giants to keep the blockchain secure?
The academic solution here is a concept called smart mining. It is a highly agile strategy where hobbyists actually stop trying to stubbornly mine 24/7 like the big industrial farms do. Instead, they lean heavily into variable time-of-use pricing. Basically, electricity is dirt cheap at 3 a.m. when the whole city is asleep, but it's incredibly expensive at 5 p.m. when everyone gets home from work and blasts their AC. By using automated software algorithms, hobbyists can set their machines to power on exclusively during those super cheap off-peak hours and dynamically shut down the very second the electricity rates spike.
Consider the dramatic reduction in break-even times when this is applied. Using these real-time algorithms on residential setups radically transforms the economics for the smaller player. We're talking about taking the break-even time on a typical $10,000 hardware investment from an agonizing, completely impossible 14 years all the way down to just 2 years. That kind of agility, the ability to just turn massive power draw on and off instantly without sweating over millions in corporate debt, is something that giant industrial farms with rigid, fixed power contracts actually really struggle to pull off. It makes the hobbyist agile, super efficient, and honestly surprisingly competitive again.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. With block rewards continuing to strictly halve every 4 years and mathematical difficulty constantly climbing, we really have to ponder the future of this incredible digital infrastructure. Will industrial giants with their fixed power contracts absolutely dominate the future? Or will agile hobbyists utilizing smart algorithms ultimately rise up to sustain the financial viability and the original decentralized ethos of the network? It is a fascinating balance of power and one that is absolutely going to define the future of digital finance. So what do you think? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions and I'll catch you next time.